Hi, aligned souls. Welcome to the Soul Revival podcast, where we have meaningful conversations to help you explore tools and healing methods that help you return to your soul self. Join us as we help you merge the ethereal and the material worlds, allowing you to live your most fulfilling and aligned life. I'm Lindsay Stanton, author, somatic practitioner, intuitive Reiki master, and grief coach.
Hello, I am Autumn, a believer in miracles, intuitive guide, and psychic medium. We're your hosts and guides. We don't just talk healing, we live it. This is where soul meets strategy, spirit meets structure, and our highest selves take the mic.
Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Revival podcast.
This is going to be a good one. It's actually kind of piggybacking off of our last week's episode. This episode is all about the importance of inner child work.
100%. And I would say I knew absolutely nothing about this before I started on this whole journey and joined communities and got to know people who were spiritual workers, healers, mediums. I was pretty unaware of like your whole inner child concept and inner child work. So this has been a really cool one for me because I think for me specifically, and I'm sure there's a totally different lens. I know there's a totally different lens you're going to come at this with, but I would once I would became aware of inner child work and anchoring into parenting yourself and your unmet needs and really helping yourself, holistically helping yourself and tapping into what your little person inside needs. It helped me actually with my connection to spirit because I didn't have of course, everybody has things when they're kids, but I had a pretty normal childhood. Probably the most complex nature of my childhood was around the fact we moved a lot. So I was constantly having to make new friends and reinvent myself. And when it was very hard when I was in it, but I'm actually super thankful for it because I think it's part of the reason I'm able to do so many of the things that I can do publicly facing now, because I was constantly having to get up to speed on people, read their energy, and be able to interpret their energy as a language and make myself able to fit in situations. But for me, yeah, the inner child and the inner child work that I've done has been more of an anchoring to my connection to the spirit and the spirit realm than anything else.
Hi, loves. If you've been enjoying this podcast and it's added value to your life, we'd be so incredibly grateful if you'd consider supporting us with a small donation. Every contribution helps us create heartfelt conversations and sharing this space with you. Thank you. If you are feeling called to make a donation to the Soul Revival podcast, please scroll down to the show notes and click the link Support This Show to make your donation. Thank you so much. I love that you say that. I've never put two and two together like that with the connection to spirit because as a child, I feel like most of my security came from spirit. It came from the other side. I couldn't trust anything else other than that little voice I had inside of me for, I would say, all of my childhood, which is very, very, very sad. But I'm very proud of that little girl inside of myself. Lindsay, inner child work is something that I wasn't aware of either. The first bit of inner child work I started to dabble in was after a Reiki healing session. I was told about quantum therapy. And quantum therapy is all parts of ourself exist at one time. And through this quantum therapy, you kind of get in like a hypnosis state, but the practitioner takes you back to times where your inner child was abandoned or left, or, I never had a place to call home. I was so quick, even as a young child, like back and forth, mom, dad, being brainwashed on the other, no one ever liking each other, having to go stay at grandma's, and grandma's wants me to go stay at her mom's because I'm too much. And, just so much of that chatter still lives inside of my mind. And it really keeps me, well, it kept me small, kept me quiet. And so through quantum therapy, I was able to go back to certain parts of my life where I did not feel grounded or secured or protected. Protected is huge. And I was able to reinvent myself, change the narrative, change the perspective of that scenario. I mean, I don't blame my mom and dad. They only knew what they knew, and that was what they knew. They didn't take the time to do the healing. Maybe they weren't aware of all of the goodies that the universe provides us. But there was so much expansion through my inner child when I allowed her to see what happened to her from a different lens. And there's so much growth in healing old wounds that I think that people push down and don't want to revisit. And I am here to tell you that I've had to revisit the hardest wounds. And through the gentleness of my higher self protecting my inner child through this quantum therapy, it's released so much built up inside of me that the anger didn't exist anymore after the reconnection with my inner child, after the healing of old wounds. And with that anger being gone, it allowed me to be able to pause and kind of reflect on the way that I wanted to react when situations came up. So not only is inner child work so important, because I'm sure a lot of people had rough childhoods. I mean, we lived in a day that you only spoke when you were spoken to.
We have an exciting opportunity to share with you.
Did you know inside the Soul Revival community we have a giveaway? One lovely soul is gifted something sacred. A Reiki session, an intuitive reading, a powerful course, or even access into the community itself. This isn't just a giveaway. It's a soul blessing, a moment where healing meets divine timing. You'll feel the shift, you'll see the signs, and you'll know you're not alone anymore. Say yes to your intuition, your healing, your next chapter. Enter now at the link below in the show notes labeled Soul Revival Giveaway for your chance to win.
Let's get back to today's episode.
And this allows the breaking of patterns and cycles in our generational traumas and our generational timelines. And I think that that is why we are here. Like, we are here at this point in time to begin to break those cycles and those patterns of the way that our family did it. Oh, we do it this way because grandma did it this way. No, I love my grandma to death, but I am not doing it that way. And there's a lot of shifts I see in my own family with how my daughter behaves. And I am so grateful to see the shift, to see the shift.
And it's empowerment.
It is empowerment. It is empowerment. And there's so many times that, I'll be sitting around like a family function now, and I'll hear my aunt or my mom say, "Oh, if that was us back in the day, you would be reacting a whole different way." And in those moments, those words anchor into me because it's like this work that I'm doing is working.
And
This
it
work,
matters. You're
it
witnessing
does.
how much it matters. I
It
love that you
absolutely
said
matters.
about I think you're like you're changing patterns of behavior. You're changing the legacy of your family, and also you're releasing blocks. So I think that's why I've felt like for me the inner child work was such a direct line to connecting with spirit, is because all of these traumas that we hold, they act as energetic shields to restrict us from expansive love and light energy. And when it's not that we can't receive it, but we can't really dive into it until we do this work. And so that's why it's so important to do this inner child work in tandem with your larger expansion journey, because it's going to release anything that's holding you back. And honestly, everything you just talked about so relates to the two episodes that we did on somatics, because by doing the inner child work, by analyzing, and sometimes it might just be like, for me, I found it extremely powerful to do visualization around inner child. And you might even unveil, even if you're listening to this, like I probably was when I first started on the inner child piece of my journey. If you're listening to this thinking like, oh, I didn't really necessarily have anything when I was a kid that was super like triggering or once you go in and you start doing some visualization, some stuff's going to come up for you. And it doesn't have to be like a huge trauma, but it impacts us. And these things sit with us. And like you just said, it does go from like generation to generation. So it might not even be your inner child thing that you need to release. It might be from generations past, but that energy does sit until we release it. It does sit in our bodies and within our chakras. And as healers, sometimes like we'll, like, I don't know about you, I certainly do, like you feel this energy when you're working with a client and you know that it needs to be released. And it might be around their throat. Like I feel like that's a really, really common place for inner child work that needs to be done to be unveiled is in the throat or the heart, especially.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like a rock in the throat
Yeah, like
area. It just tightens
friction.
up. But I also want to mention how, trauma, big T or little t, that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to you. It does, but in reality, it sits in our body the same. It sits in our mind the same. And we have to start showing ourselves compassion. Whether it was, oh my goodness, my aunt was babysitting me and had me watch the scariest Halloween movie, and now I don't like the dark. That's a trauma. Like that's there's so many different layers to it, and we can't keep dismissing our inner child because we're grown adults and we think that our inner child shouldn't have felt that way. We have to start going one on one, head on, showing that strength and self compassion and calling a duck a duck.
Right. Well, and I think that goes to something else I was thinking when you were talking that when we're parenting our inner child, oftentimes it's like that visualization piece is so important because you're able to look at yourself the way you would like somebody else's or your own small child. So instead of playing the blame game and, criticizing yourself and getting down on yourself and like victim blaming for anything that you went through, you're able to reframe your perspective as you were alluding to and come at it from the perspective of like how you would show somebody else care and compassion and how you would show up for them and show them grace and space and love and help them heal.
Be sure to check out the show notes below to see if you're the winner of our giveaway.
Just like how you would give a child if they were hungry a snack. Like you're giving yourself a snack. You're giving yourself an energetic snack to help yourself heal these wounds. And it is so important to do this work early. And I think, like, for me, I really feel like it's important to say again, in tandem with other work that you might be doing that's expansive, going deep on this inner child work and seeing what comes up with for you, whether it's through visualization, whether it's through Reiki session or a combination of both. I feel like so much can be uncovered that might be sitting in your body like you mentioned, and like I said, this ties back so much to the two somatic episodes because I feel like they work together. And honestly, so much of the language as a somatic practitioner that we use to kind of find out what's sitting under the surface of these reactions that we might be having to things relate back to inner child.
Oh, absolutely. And inner child work. I mean, some people I have one-on-one sessions with, they're like, "Oh, I can't remember when I was a child." And it's like the memory might not be there, but the emotions are there. Like, how did you feel? How did you feel? You don't have to remember certain scenarios, but if you were feeling afraid, we could go back and change that perspective because your inner child is the gateway of feeling joy, of feeling just so authentically aligned with yourself that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about you. And I really feel like inner child is the access to your divine feminine too. Because for that self-compassion, you have to have that connection to wonder and curiosity and what feels good for me. And that is all in connection with your divine feminine.
I
Um,
agree with that completely. It's like the little girl in you.
yes, exactly. And that little girl, I'm telling you what, she wants to play with magic. She wants to have fun. She wants to do all of the things that, you know, people say not to do because it's like, what if I can change the world? Like this little child in me had big dreams as a little girl, and I went through all of the things I had to go through. And during the time, it was hard. It was rough. It was rebirth after rebirth after rebirth after rebirth. It was being called names that weren't true, and having to stay so solidly honest and truthful for me because no one else was there in those moments. But through that, I can honestly say that I feel love. Like I can look at a soul and no matter what they've gone through, I don't care because I know inside of them that they have this love for themselves too. And it's through the conditioning that makes them feel less than. Every soul here can obtain love if they start to take the steps to process their inner child. It all begins honestly with that inner child. And there's so much expansion when we play with our inner child. Every day I ask my inner child, well, I mean, not every day. There's been a lot that's happened these last couple years that, but lately, every day I have been asking my inner child, what can I do for fun today? What can I do for fun? And whatever comes to me is what I'm doing. I mean, if it's coloring a picture, if it's having a thumb wrestling contest with myself, it's something that relates to my inner child that I did back in the day that brings me joy in this very moment. I bring her to life in this moment. And that's why I'm the fun aunt. That's why I'm the fun mom. That's why I have so much fun. I mean, people call me crazy because I'm the house that'll have 10 kids under my roof, but it is a blast. And yes, it's stressful, but it's fun because my inner child didn't get to have that. And it's so much fun to play imaginary friends and make believe and build castles, and that's the joy. Jumping on the bed. I mean, if my bed frame breaks, I'm an adult now. I can fix it. I can buy a new one. But jumping on the bed is fun. And there's just so much that comes with it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I would also mention, because this came up to me for me when you were talking, that if you feel resistance, so I know the first time I was on like a meditation and visualization related to inner child, like I was like, "Ugh, this isn't for me." Like if you feel resistance, push through it because it is for you. It is for you. And there might be a reason you're feeling the resistance. So it might take a few times of trying to do this work to really uncover why that resistance exists.
Are you or someone you know going through a huge spiritual expansion? Are you looking for a safe space, a community to help you with that expansion, helping you learn new healing modalities, helping you to grow along your journey and connect you to spirit, the angels, your loved ones on the other side? Then we have an amazing offer for you. In light of the holidays being right around the corner, the Soul Revival is doing a special membership offer where you get buy 6 months membership, gets 6 months free. Or if you'd like to gift a membership, you can buy a membership for yourself and get a membership for a loved one for free. That's up to a $1,300 value just to help you heal. We hope to see you there.
Yes, yes. And I feel that it's okay to I think journaling during your inner child work is very important because your truth that is anchored into your heart may be different than the truth that was told to you as a child. So
Really
I
big
remember,
call out. Yes.
yes, I remember being told things as if they were truth, but knowing something internally completely different. But because an adult or someone was telling me this was the truth, I would form into that truth. So doing the inner child work and reverse engineering all of that has cleared my heart in so many different ways because it allows me to show up more authentically because I know the truth for the truth now in many ways.
Yeah, and it anchors you into trust into what your body's telling you, into what your intuition is telling you. And I think that's how it relates to divine feminine too. It's, we can get culturally indoctrinated with information that is patently false, but we think just because we're hearing it from quote unquote authority figures that it's supposed to be true when our bodies are showing us and telling us something bigger and different.
I love that you just brought this up. There was a study done, I think in the early 1900s or somewhere around there, maybe 1950s, where they brought 18 people into a room and they were all told they were pulled off the streets. They were all pulled off the streets for this experiment, but only one was pulled off the street. The other 17 were FBI agents, and they all showed a picture, a shape. They all showed a shape, the same shape, and it was a triangle. But in this experiment, they had all of the FBI, but the one street person thought that they were all street people, name or say the shape that they thought it was. So all 17 people before that person that was pulled off the street said a square, even though it was a triangle. So then when that person came, the 18th person came, he said a square, but he knew inside of him it was a triangle. But because everyone else said a square, he said a square. So that's how quickly we can go against our own body, our own intuition, our own truth just to fit in. And that's the energy that our inner child is needing the work around. So like Lindsay said, if you are feeling resistant around any inner child work, just hold out. Just try it some, maybe twice a week, and then something's going to happen where it's going to click and you're going to be like, okay, oh my goodness, this is a scenario. This is a scenario. And if you can't remember memories, just happen to the emotion of it because you can still change and transmute that emotion that you were feeling at that time because all time exists at one time. So our higher self's here, this version of us is here, the version of us yesterday is here, our inner child's here, and it's all the work to deepen that spiritual connection and like Lindsay said, really get grounded in the now.
Yeah, and I think also this is one area where I would really suggest strongly to work with a guide because it can be tricky to navigate yourself, especially if you're, no matter where you're at on your journey. I was going to say, especially if you're newer on your journey, but regardless where you're at on your journey, I think that having a guide can help you call bullshit on your egoic thoughts and your guilt-ridden thoughts or your victim-related thoughts and help guide you back to your higher self and your truth and anchor you into that energy.
And the personal power is your inner child. And there was something else that just came up when you said to have a guide. Um, Personal power. I'm going to edit this out. Um, it's not coming to me.
Call bullshit.
Call bullshit. No, we'll have to all edit all of this up, but that's okay. Okay. It'll come back to me. So yes, continue, Autumn. What were we just talking about? Now I'm forgetting.
Um, Having a guide on your journey versus trying to go at it alone with inner child work.
Yes, Lindsay, I have to agree. Having a guide is so important because in this discovery of your inner child is where your personal power lies. And to have them call out that bullshit and to have them be like, well, this is the perspective I'm seeing, even though your brain keeps rewiring this hamster wheel. And you can really decode and then step into the person that you're meant to be, and really, really, really step up to the plate when it comes to experiencing joy and having this ultimate oneness vibration trickling through you every single day. If it's just a mind shift, it's a mindset and it's a mind shift, and every soul is so deserving.
Yeah, absolutely. And this work will make you feel, even though it's hard doing it, it will make you feel so much lighter once you've done it. It will help release so many blocks, and it's 100% the pathway to expansion.
Yes, and I wanted to touch on this earlier. Triggers. If you are getting triggered, if you have a trigger within you that you're not really figuring out why this trigger's here, mostly stemming from your inner child. So if you're having a trigger that you're having a hard time to code to find out where it came from, this is another place where inner child work really comes in is when you're trying to discover where your triggers are coming from.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this provides some helpful information to everybody listening. It's definitely something like Autumn and I said we weren't even aware of when we first got into this space, and it's been very, very helpful and expansive for us. So hopefully there were nuggets in this episode that are helpful for you as well.
Thank you, Lindsay. What a beautiful episode for our listeners. Tap into joy and playfulness. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review. We would love it more than anything in the entire world. It helps our podcast so much be seen and heard. If you want to follow us over on our Facebook group, it's the Soul Revival Community on Facebook, and we really hope that you come into the community. We also offer live mediumship readings. We bring in healers from the outside that are really, really good, that helped us along our journey, come in and do a course or a class or a teaching. And so there's so much growth in the Soul Revival membership, and we hope to see you there.
And we would love to hear your comments on how you give your inner child joy on our Facebook community.
Yes. All right, bye. Have a good day. If today's words stirred something in you, that's no coincidence. Your soul is speaking, and it's ready to be heard. If you resonated with today's episode, Spirit is cheering you on, encouraging you. Start choosing yourself again. Start saying yes to your healing and join our sacred community over at www.thesoulrevival.com.
Because healing is better when we do it together. If you love this episode, be sure to hit follow, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to return to their soul self. Thank you, Aligned Souls.